Welcome to Practical Talk. Welcome to Practical Talk Time. I'm Sandy Robel, the host for the show. We have a very special guest who has appeared several times in the past. It is Cindy Miller, and she finally has her book published that she's been working a great deal of the time on. Before I have you meet Cindy again, I'd like you to read to you the back of her book, which talks about the author. And this is about Cindy Miller. And this is what she says. I am a girl who lives in the country, loves the city, ocean, gardening, hiking, dancing, good food, and having fun. I also am serious about my relationship with God, which led me to become the founder of a nonprofit for mind, body, and spirit. I write poetry, enjoy music, write inspirational articles, teach, laugh, study holistic and spiritual teachings, attend groups, and love people. My journey is going too fast as week turns into months and years go by. I cherish the time I have here and who I spend it with. Knowledge is key for me when it comes to the bigger picture and the meaning in my life. I start my day in prayer, and at the end of the day, close in prayer. I appreciate my life. And there's a little bit more, but I'm going to close here and introduce you. The author, who has many interests, is Cindy Miller. Welcome to the show, Cindy.
Hi, Sandy.
I'm so glad you can be here. And tell us about this fabulous new book that you have written. And how would you like to tell the people about your book? How did you get started with this?
Good question. The book came to me when I was one day sitting watching Oprah, who I happen to love her shows when she was on the normal stations. And I was listening to an author, and I'm very God-based, and I just believe in God. And I heard God say to me, I'm clairaudient, so I can hear from God, just like anybody out there can. And God said, Cindy, go ahead and write this book. And he said, you know, I want you to write a book. And I'm like, really? And he said, yeah, and the book is going to help many. And I said, God, what is it going to help people do? And he says, to heal. And I said, oh, all right. And I feel that we're all here to be healed. We're all here on a journey, and we're all here to be healed on our journey. So that's how the book got started, through a show, watching another author. And I went to my laptop where I write, and I began to write away, and the information just comes to me. And you'll see in this book, there's conversations that I have with God of things that I've struggled with in my life. There's take action items to do for your life. There's techniques, there's prayers, there's transformation. It's just loaded with a ton of information and questions for you to ask yourself.
I know we're going to be talking about the book. How long of a process, well, not the writing process, but how long, when did you first start writing it?
Good question. It took me, I want to say a little over 2 years ago. And I wrote the book very quickly as far as putting it together, but putting it together into this package here, and if you wanted to put up picture one, was a process. Just like our life is a process, it took a while to put this together with the art and the software and the graphics and the layout and all that stuff.
Yes, and we're going to look at a cover of the book right
picture
now.
One.
And this book is now available for people to read. It's actually here.
Yes.
And do you want to tell a little bit about the artwork?
Yes, I would love to. The artist who did the artwork is my brother Steve, who I am so proud of, and he sells his art all over the world. And that's actually a section of a painting of an abstract image. So if you saw the original image, which I could have brought today, I forgot, that's one piece of it. But what I liked about this image for the cover is it's kind of like a figure 8, like the infinity image, and it's also like the circle of life that we go through, and like the pathways we take, the directions. We can go this way, we can go that way, and how it just kind of all takes you back again. And I like the light shining out, so that when we question stuff that goes on in our lives and the things that we struggle with, and as we're living our life, is to look to the light.
Yes.
And, who is the source of light for you? Where do you plug into? Where do you go to, feel that you're not alone?
I find it very interesting that you wrote the information that you want to get out to people, and then you could look at your brother's art and make a correlation between what you want to reveal to people and what they will learn to reveal to themselves, and to incorporate it with the art. Did you start out thinking you would do that, or is it just came to you at some point, gee, I could use some of my brother's art?
Well, I love my brother's art, and one of the reasons it came to me to use this art is because it's abstract. So the image could be anything that it wants to be to you. So it's not forced, like you have to think like that, you have to feel like that, you have to be like that. It's for you to be able to be very reflective and to go within and go, what does that look like to me, and why does it look like that to me, and how do I feel about that? So that's really the essence of this workbook, and I call it a workbook because it's to go within you, to go within yourself, and assess, why you feel what you feel. Why do you think what you think? Why do you believe what you believe? Why do you behave the way you behave?
I think that's very good, because a lot of times when we look at, has nothing to do with your book, but like advertising.
Right.
And I know a company that produces a catalog, of clothing, and what I find interesting is when you look at it, you don't see the models. They must somehow take them out of the picture, and you just see the outfit that's there. And I'm thinking that they want you to see yourself in it.
Right.
That you might sometimes look at it and think, oh, I don't look like that person, so I shouldn't buy it.
Right. And what's interesting about, the image, there's conversations that I have with God throughout this book about many different topics in life that have really, pressed, I felt in my heart or struggled with on some very serious things. And it was the image of what to use for God. Because I did images. I did an image, and there's a graphic number photo 4, if you can pull that up. But it was, what does God look like to you? And how do you equate an image to God? And this was a big thing in this book, in putting this together, is how does God appear to you? What does God look like to you? What does God represent to you? So there were so many choices, like should you use clouds? Should you use woods? Should you use sky? And if you notice on the bottom, it's just a very abstract image, because I wanted God to appear to you as you would feel God is to you.
On there.
Nope, to the very right, well, they took it off, to the right square is an image that I've used consistently throughout the book.
It's back up there.
Yeah.
Okay, where am I supposed to look?
This. So I had it be
yeah, it's not very clear on the screen.
Yeah, well, it's the graphic, but the idea of that is God is as God should be for you.
It's a very abstract.
Very
abstract.
Very
light gray, so it doesn't really show up on the screen here.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I always think of something like God as being an energy or a light.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's different for everyone.
Everyone.
Some people would see him as a person like they are. Or,
yes.
Or
exactly.
Whatever.
So I used an abstract image so that you could put in your own heart what you felt like, how you visualize God to be as a part of your life.
Okay, so I would say that God is part of this book all the way through.
Absolutely. This is a co-creation, this book. This is not my book. This is a book that was given to me. And it's just really, I just say I couldn't have done this book without God. Can't live my life without God either.
And what did you do about dividing it up into chapters? How did you decide what information to put where? Is there a pattern?
There is a pattern of the different things that we go through in life, from our core beliefs to how we take care of ourselves, to how we dress, to what we study, to what we eat, to the people we hang out with, to the letting go. It's just the transformation process. So I just covered every venue that I could possibly cover in this workbook without making it feel like, oh, this is too much work to do this workbook. But I wanted to be very broad range in covering a lot of aspects that I feel are key, pertaining to your mind, to your body, and your spirit.
Interesting. This is Practical Talk Time, and even though it has a religious tone to it, it sounds like it's also very practical in the way people are looking at themselves as they read this book.
Yeah, you don't have to believe in God for this book to work. This book is basically different things in it to stretch you, take action items for you to do, things for you to just contemplate, things for you to meditate. There's over 129 questions for you to ask yourself in this book. And for a sample of like some of the questions you could ask would be photo image number 3, if you could pull up number 3. But I wanted to ask like deep questions to someone, and you know, it starts off by the first question is your mother, your father, or other significant person in your life. From those people, do they consider you successful, and why or why not? And the second question leads you into, do you consider yourself a success, and why or why not? And the reason for that question is to start off is very often, you know, we start off as a child at home, and we have a mom or a dad, or maybe just a mom or a dad, or maybe we don't even, I mean, I don't know what your home environment is. Everybody's so different.
Right, or it could even be a foster home.
It could be a foster home, it could be a
Right.
teacher. So it's like when you first entered Earth, and you arrived, and as you're growing, is, you know, who was your mentor, and did they consider you a success? And what if they didn't consider you a success, but you consider yourself a success? And how much validity do you give that opinion of that authority figure, that parent, that, you know, whoever is that role model in your life? Now, if you have a mom and dad and they think the world of you, and they think, oh, I just adore Sandy and I couldn't have done a better job. But, and I'm picking on my dear friend Sandy, but what if you had a mom and dad and they had nothing nice to say about Sandy, and just was just critical and just pounded you all the time? That could have a huge effect on you as you go out in life, because what are you listening to that voice, or to the voice of knowing, you know, what a success you are as a person, just as you are?
And sometimes they might alternate.
Yeah.
And I think also it gets into even people of different cultures and nationalities.
Yeah.
You know, just thinking of my own family, some families are just more critical. They think it's their role in life.
Right.
But then on the other hand, you can look at it and say, in another way, it might be easier to go forward because maybe it prepares you for the outside world.
Yeah.
That you're stronger going out because of it.
Yeah.
You know, it can lead to many different things, and many different, everyone reading it would have a different viewpoint.
Right. And, you know, what we're taught and who our teachers are, you know, tie into our core beliefs. And sometimes I feel our core beliefs need to be altered and switched, because we might not have always been getting the proper teaching, and, you know, we're learning new things all the time. So I think we need to be very open to knowledge, but also have a core truth that we hold inside of us, that don't let people shake you from your core truth either, as far as, you know, what your core truth beliefs are for you.
And I like the idea that you have journey within, because I think life is a journey.
Yes.
It's never ending, and as much as we think, oh, I finally learned that, or I realized it, there's always something new that'll come up.
Right.
And have us change our mind, or say, well, that's something new I've learned.
Right. And the reason I like the fact of the journey, and like the journey goes all over the place, and in the directions we choose to go on the journey, and we can grow on the journey, we can remain stuck on the journey, we can change another direction on the journey. You know, there's so many choices we have on this journey as we live out our life, and to me it is a journey. And what's so important to me on the journey is the journey within, because what's within us is how we view, how we respond, how we communicate, how we feel, how we behave. So I think it's really important for us to have like this telescopic look inside of ourselves to go, you know, if you get really angry, well, why am I so angry? What's the core reason that I'm acting